I stood in the conference room, still holding my coffee mug, staring at my boss's smug face. Marcus Webb, CEO of TechFlow Solutions, leaned back in his leather chair with his fingers steepled like he was some kind of corporate villain from a movie. "We're letting you go, Daniel," he said casually, as if he were commenting on the weather. "Effective immediately." My mind went blank. What? What? "Your performance hasn't met our standards," Marcus continued, sliding a folder across the table. "HR will explain the details. Security will escort you out. You have 30 minutes to collect your personal items." I'd worked at TechFlow for 3 years. I was their senior software engineer, the one who'd built half their core platform. I'd worked weekends, missed family events, pulled all-nighters to meet deadlines. And now I was being fired? "This doesn't make sense," I said, my voice shaking. "My last performance review was excellent. I just delivered the client portal project ahead of schedule." "The decision is final," Marcus said, standing to signal the conversation was over. "Sign the severance paperwork, and you'll receive 2 weeks' pay. Refuse, and you get nothing." Behind him, I noticed Sharon from HR and Kyle, the new programmer Marcus had hired last month. They both avoided my eyes. Something about this felt wrong, but I was too shocked to process it. Security escorted me to my desk like I was some kind of criminal. My coworkers watched in stunned silence as I packed my belongings into a cardboard box. A framed photo of my wife and daughter, a coffee mug, some books, my backup hard drive. Kyle appeared beside my desk, pretending to grab something from a nearby filing cabinet. "Sorry, man," he muttered. "This is messed up." "Do you know why?" I asked quietly. He glanced around nervously. "Marcus told the team you were being let go for strategic reasons. But between you and me, I think he's planning to take credit for your client portal project. He's presenting it to investors next week as his own innovation." My hands froze on the box. "He's what?" "I shouldn't have said anything," Kyle said quickly, walking away. I finished packing in a daze, my mind racing. Marcus was going to steal my work? The client portal I'd spent 6 months designing and building, the one that was supposed to revolutionize how our clients manage their data? As security walked me to the parking lot, I passed Marcus's office. Through the glass wall, I could see him on the phone, laughing about something. He glanced up, saw me, and gave a small wave. Not friendly, more like a dismissal. Like I was already forgotten. I drove home in silence, the box of my belongings sitting on the passenger seat like evidence of a crime I didn't commit. My wife Olivia found me sitting in our garage an hour later, staring at nothing. "Daniel? What happened? Why are you home so early?" "I got fired," I said numbly. She sat down beside me on the concrete floor. "What? Why would they fire you? You're their best engineer." I explained everything. The sudden termination, Marcus's vague accusations about performance, Kyle's warning about the stolen project. Olivia listened, her expression shifting from shock to anger. "That's theft," she said firmly. "You built that portal. Your name is on all the code." "My name is on code that belongs to TechFlow, according to my employment contract," I said bitterly. "Everything I created while working there is their intellectual property. But you can't just let him steal your work and fire you." "What am I supposed to do? Sue them? We can't afford a lawyer. I just need to find another job before our savings run out." Olivia squeezed my hand. "We'll figure this out. You're brilliant, Daniel. Any company would be lucky to have you." I wanted to believe her, but all I could think about was how Marcus had looked at me. Like I was disposable, like 3 years of my life meant nothing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed thinking about the client portal, about all the features I'd carefully designed, the problems I'd solved, the elegant code I'd written. And Marcus was going to present it as his own innovation, unless I did something about it. The next morning, I made a decision. I wouldn't look for another job. I'd build my own company. The idea seemed crazy at first. I had maybe $30,000 in savings, no investors, and no business experience. But I had something Marcus didn't. I knew exactly what clients needed because I'd been the one actually building solutions for them. I called my old college roommate, Felix, who'd started his own tech consulting firm a few years back. "I need advice. I just got fired, and I'm thinking about starting a competitor company." Felix laughed. "That's the Daniel I remember. Come over. Let's talk." Over coffee at his office, I explained my situation. Felix listened carefully, asking questions about TechFlow's business model, their client base, and what I've been working on. Here's the thing, Felix said finally. TechFlow's client portal is good, but it's not revolutionary. You told me yourself it has limitations. It's expensive, hard to customize, and requires a ton of technical support. What if you built something better? I don't have the resources Marcus has. You don't need them. Start lean. Build a better product. Price it lower. Focus on customer service. Small businesses hate dealing with companies like TechFlow because they're treated like second-class clients. You could own that market. The idea began taking shape in my mind. A better portal, more affordable, easier to use, with actual human support. Everything TechFlow wasn't. I need capital to get started, I said. Felix grinned. I might know some people. Within 2 weeks, I'd incorporated a new company, Streamline Systems. Felix introduced me to 3 angel investors who each contributed $15,000 after hearing my pitch. Combined with my savings, I had $75,000 to work with. Not much, but enough to start. I rented a small office space, bought basic equipment, and got to work. The first month was brutal. I coded 18 hours a day, building the core platform from scratch. Everything I created was new, completely independent of TechFlow's code. I couldn't risk any legal issues. But I had one advantage. I knew TechFlow's weaknesses intimately. I'd heard client complaints for 3 years. I knew exactly what frustrated them, what features they wished existed, where Marcus's system fell short. I built those solutions into Streamline from day one. By month 2, I had a working prototype. It was cleaner than TechFlow's portal, faster, and required about 1/10 of the technical support. I set up a simple website and started reaching out to small businesses that TechFlow had rejected as too small. My first client was a local accounting firm with 20 employees. They paid me $2,000 for setup and $100 monthly for support. It wasn't much, but it was validation. This is exactly what we needed, the owner told me. TechFlow wanted to charge us $5,000 for setup and $500 monthly. Your system is actually better and costs less. I smiled, feeling the first spark of hope since my firing. That's the whole idea. 3 months after my firing, I landed my 10th client. Then my 20th. Word spread quickly in the small business community that Streamline offered enterprise-level solutions at reasonable prices with actual human support. I hired my first employee, a talented junior developer named Priya, who'd recently graduated. Then a customer service specialist named Omar. We worked out of my small office, surviving on pizza and ambition. Meanwhile, I monitored TechFlow from a distance. Marcus had indeed presented my old client portal project to investors, taking full credit. The company raised $3 million in funding based partly on that presentation. It should have made me angry, but instead it motivated me. Let Marcus celebrate his stolen innovation. I was building something better. One afternoon, Omar knocked on my office door. Daniel, we just got an interesting inquiry. A company called Redwood Industries wants a demo. They're currently with TechFlow, but are unhappy with the service. My heart skipped a beat. Redwood was one of TechFlow's major clients, worth at least $50,000 annually. Set up the demo, I said. The Redwood meeting happened the following week. Their IT director, a sharp woman named Angela, listened to my presentation with intense focus. When I finished, she had one question. Why should we switch? Change is expensive and risky. I took a breath. Because TechFlow treats you like a number. Your tickets take days to resolve. Their system is rigid and doesn't adapt to your workflow. I'm offering a platform built specifically for companies like yours, with customization included and support that responds within hours, not days. Angela smiled slightly. You did your homework. I used to work at TechFlow. I know exactly where they fall short. Redwood Industries signed with Streamline the following week. Their $50,000 annual contract was our biggest win yet, and it changed everything. Suddenly, we had credibility. If a company could leave TechFlow for us, others might too. Word reached Marcus within days. I knew this because Kyle, who still worked at TechFlow, sent me a text. Marcus is freaking out about Redwood. He's asking everyone who Streamline is and how you're stealing his clients. This is amazing. I didn't respond, but I couldn't help smiling. Let Marcus worry. Over the next 3 months, 5 more TechFlow clients switched to Streamline. Each one cited the same reasons: better service, lower costs, more responsive support. I wasn't winning by stealing Marcus's ideas. I was winning by being better. I hired 3 more developers and moved to a larger office. Revenue hit $30,000 monthly, enough to support the team and reinvest in growth. We were becoming a real company. Then one morning, I received a letter from TechFlow's attorneys. They were suing me for breach of contract, theft of trade secrets, and unfair competition. My hands shook as I read the legal language. Marcus was claiming I'd stolen TechFlow's intellectual property and used insider knowledge to poach clients. He was demanding I cease operations immediately and pay damages. I called Felix in a panic. They're suing me. Marcus is trying to shut us down. Did you steal any of their code or documents? No. Everything I built is original. Then you'll be fine. Let me connect you with a good lawyer. This is Marcus getting desperate. The lawyer, a tough woman named Patricia, reviewed everything: my code, my employment contract, my business records. After 2 days, she gave her assessment. This lawsuit is mostly bluster, Patricia said. They're claiming you used trade secrets, but they can't prove it because you didn't. Your code is completely different from theirs. As for client poaching, clients have the right to choose their vendors. TechFlow has no case. So what do? We respond aggressively. We show them you're prepared to fight and that their claims are baseless. Most likely, they'll back down. This is intimidation, not a real legal strategy. She was right. After Patricia sent a detailed response dismantling TechFlow's claims and threatening countersuits for harassment, their lawyers went quiet. The lawsuit was quietly withdrawn a month later. But the legal threat had shaken me. I realized that success meant Marcus would keep trying to stop me. I needed to grow faster, become too big to intimidate. I went back to the investors who'd initially funded me. I need more capital to scale. We're profitable, growing fast, and taking market share from TechFlow. This is your chance to get in before we explode. They saw the numbers and agreed. We closed a $200,000 funding round, enough to hire a sales team, expand marketing, and accelerate development. By the end of our first year, Streamline had 40 clients and was generating $75,000 in monthly recurring revenue. We'd gone from a desperate ex-employee's revenge fantasy to a legitimate company threatening the market leader. And Marcus? He was starting to notice. The industry conference happened 18 months after my firing. Streamline had been invited to present in the Emerging Companies Showcase. I almost didn't go, not wanting to face Marcus, but Felix convinced me. You've earned your place there. Don't hide from him. Show him what you built. I walked into the convention center with my head high, wearing a suit I'd bought with my first real profit check. Streamline's booth was modest compared to TechFlow's massive display across the hall, but it was ours. The presentation went well. I talked about our customer-first approach, our rapid growth, our vision for making enterprise software accessible to businesses of all sizes. The audience responded positively, asking questions, taking business cards. Afterward, I was packing up when a familiar voice said, Well, Daniel Chun, the employee I had to let go. I turned to see Marcus standing there, arms crossed, wearing an expression that was half smile, half sneer. Marcus, good to see you. I heard about your little company. Cute. Playing in the small business sandbox while we handle enterprise clients. Those enterprise clients are switching to us, I said calmly, including 3 more of yours this month. His smile faltered. You won't last. You're undercapitalized, overextended, and out of your depth. Running a business isn't like writing code. You're right, I agreed. It's harder. It requires actually caring about your clients and employees. But I'm learning. Marcus leaned in closer. I should have fired you sooner. You were always a mediocre engineer with delusions of grandeur. His words were meant to wound me, to make me doubt myself. Instead, they made me angry. Not hot anger, but cold determination. You fired me because you want to steal my work, I said quietly. That client portal you presented to investors? I built every line of code. You just took credit. Prove it, Marcus challenged. Oh wait, you can't. Because it was built on company time with company resources. It's mine. It was yours, I corrected. Now I've built something better, and your clients are realizing it. I walked away before he could respond, my heart pounding, but my head clear. Marcus could deny reality all he wanted. The market would decide who was right. The next 6 months proved my point. Streamline's growth accelerated. We hit 100 clients, then 150. Revenue reached 200,000 monthly. We moved to a real office building and hired a full executive team. And TechFlow, they started losing clients faster. Word in the industry was that Marcus had been making desperate moves, cutting prices, making promises he couldn't keep, burning bridges with partners. One of my sales reps brought me interesting news. TechFlow just lost Quantum Corp, their biggest client. Guess who they're evaluating as a replacement? Us. I asked, hardly daring to hope. Yep, they want a demo next week. Quantum Corp was huge, a contract worth over $1 million annually. If we landed them, we'd officially be playing in TechFlow's league. I spent the week preparing the perfect presentation, customizing our demo to their specific needs, anticipating every question. On presentation day, I walked into their headquarters with Priya and Omar, all of us nervous but ready. The Quantum Corp IT team was tough, asking detailed technical questions, probing for weaknesses. But we'd built Streamline to solve real problems, and our answers were solid. The system demonstrated itself, fast, flexible, intuitive. The CTO, a veteran named Harold, leaned back in his chair after our demo. I'll be honest, we've been with TechFlow for 5 years. Switching is a big risk. Why should we trust a company that's barely 2 years old? I'd anticipated this question. Because we're hungry. TechFlow is complacent. They know you can't easily switch, so they don't prioritize your needs. We'll treat you like our most important client, because you are. Every feature request, every support ticket, every concern will get executive-level attention. That's my personal guarantee. Harold exchanged glances with his team. Give us a week to decide. The wait was excruciating. If we lost this opportunity, it would hurt. If we won, it would transform Streamline from a scrappy competitor into a serious player. 7 days later, Harold called. We're switching to Streamline. Your proposal was half TechFlow's price with better features and a level of personal commitment we haven't seen in years. When can we start implementation? I had to steady my voice. We can start immediately. Thank you for trusting us. After hanging up, I gathered the team. We just landed Quantum Corporation. $1 million annually. This changes everything. The office erupted in cheers. Omar actually did a victory dance. Priya looked like she might cry happy tears. That evening, Felix called. I heard about Quantum. Congratulations, man. You did it. Did what? Became a real threat. TechFlow's stock price dropped 3% today after Quantum's announcement. Marcus is probably having a meltdown. Felix was right. Within a week, Marcus called me directly, the first time we'd spoken since the conference. We should talk, he said, his voice tight. There might be an opportunity for partnership. Partnership? Translation. He was worried and wanted to neutralize the competition. I'm listening, I said carefully. TechFlow has resources, market presence, and enterprise relationships. Streamline has agility and some interesting technology. We could acquire you, bring you back on board with a senior position, and integrate our platforms. You mean you want to buy Streamline and shut it down? I mean we could both benefit from cooperation instead of competition, Marcus said smoothly. I'm prepared to offer you $3 million for the company. $3 million. 2 years ago, that would have seemed like an impossible fortune. Now, it felt like a lowball offer for a company generating nearly $3 million annually with exponential growth potential. I'm not interested in selling, I said. Don't be stupid, Daniel. $3 million is more money than you'll ever see otherwise. Take the offer while it's on the table. I'd rather keep building. Streamline is worth more than money. It's proof that companies can succeed by actually valuing their clients and employees. You're making a mistake, Marcus said coldly. I'm trying to be reasonable. If you refuse, I'll make things very difficult for you. You already tried that with a lawsuit. It didn't work. He hung up without another word. The next month, TechFlow launched an aggressive campaign to discredit Streamline. They spread rumors about our financial stability, our security, our ability to support enterprise clients. Marcus personally called some of our clients, warning them we were risky. 3 clients wavered, but none left. When I reached out to each one personally, explaining the situation and reaffirming our commitment, they stood by us. The attack backfired. It made TechFlow look desperate and petty. Meanwhile, Streamline kept growing. We hit 200 clients, then 250. Revenue climbed to $400,000 monthly. We were approaching $10 million in annual revenue, officially making us a mid-sized player in the industry. I hired a CFO, a COO, and a head of sales. Streamline wasn't just my company anymore. It was a team of 30 talented people building something meaningful together. One afternoon, Patricia the lawyer called with interesting news. "You're not going to believe this. TechFlow is being investigated by the SEC for financial irregularities. Apparently, Marcus inflated revenue numbers to investors and misrepresented client retention rates." My first reaction was satisfaction, but it quickly turned to something more complex. Is the company going to survive? Hard to say, but their stock is tanking. Several board members have resigned. Marcus might be forced out. I should have felt victorious, but instead I felt sad. TechFlow's collapse would hurt their employees, most of whom were good people just trying to do their jobs. What happens to their clients if TechFlow fails? I asked. Mass chaos. Companies will be scrambling for alternative solutions. An idea formed. What if we offer to help? Reach out to TechFlow's clients proactively. Offer them transition assistance at minimal cost. We could absorb their client base and save people from disaster. Patricia was quiet for a moment. That's generous, considering how Marcus treated you. This isn't about Marcus. It's about doing right by people who need help. Over the next 3 months, TechFlow unraveled. The SEC investigation revealed years of financial manipulation. Marcus was forced to resign in disgrace. The company declared bankruptcy. And Streamline? We became the default solution for hundreds of displaced clients. We hired 15 of TechFlow's best engineers, people who'd been colleagues during my time there. We absorbed their client base, grew to 500 clients, and hit annual revenue of $20 million. 3 years after my firing, Streamline was the fastest growing company in our industry. We'd gone public, raising $50 million in our IPO. The company was now valued at $200 million. I was sitting in my corner office, ironic considering how I'd been escorted out of my cubicle 3 years earlier when my assistant buzzed. "Someone here to see you." He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's important. Who is it? Marcus Webb. I sat there for a long moment, debating. Finally, I said, "Send him in." Marcus looked different, older, tired, defeated. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something like humility. "Thank you for seeing me," he said quietly, sitting across from my desk. "What do you want, Marcus?" He took a deep breath. "I wanted to apologize for firing you, for stealing credit for your work, for trying to destroy your company. I was arrogant and short-sighted. You deserve better." I studied him, trying to detect manipulation or ulterior motives. But his eyes looked sincere. "I accept your apology," I said finally. "But I need you to understand something. You didn't just hurt me. You hurt everyone at TechFlow by building a company on lies and ego instead of substance." "I know," Marcus said. "I lost everything because I couldn't see past my own ambition. Meanwhile, you built something real by focusing on doing right by people." We sat in silence for a moment. Finally, Marcus spoke again. "I'm not here to ask for anything. I just wanted you to know that I recognize what I did was wrong. You won because you deserve to win." After he left, I sat at my desk thinking about the journey. 3 years ago, I'd been fired unfairly, my work stolen, my career seemingly destroyed. I could have given up, found another job, accepted that sometimes life isn't fair. Instead, I'd built something better, not out of revenge, though I won't lie and say that wasn't satisfying, but out of a genuine belief that there was a better way to do business. Streamline succeeded because we treated clients and employees with respect, because we focused on solving real problems instead of chasing hype, because we built something sustainable rather than impressive. That evening, I went home to Olivia and our daughter. How was work? Olivia asked. Marcus came by to apologize, I said. She raised an eyebrow. How did that feel? Strange. Good, I think. It's finally over. Not because I beat him, but because we both moved on. My daughter, now 5 years old, looked up from her coloring. Daddy, what's your job? I smiled, picking her up. I help people solve problems and try to treat everyone fairly, even when they don't treat me fairly back. That sounds nice, she said, returning to her crayons. It was nice. The employee they fired had become their biggest competitor, but the real victory wasn't crushing TechFlow. It was building a company I was proud of, proving that success doesn't require sacrificing integrity. Marcus had taught me an important lesson, though not the one he'd intended. Being fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to bet on myself, to build something true to my values, to discover I was capable of more than I'd imagined. The employee they fired became their biggest competitor. But more importantly, he became someone who understood that real success isn't about defeating enemies. It's about building something worth building.